Welcome back to another, I would say, unprecedented episode of Containers on the Couch. The gang is all here. I don't think we've ever had the whole team on one of these sessions before. And I think we're going to do a set of introductions, and I'm going to give the honor to Scott first because he's up earliest this morning. What time is it in Australia somewhere?
It is 6 a.m.
So you get the honors.
Hi, Scott Colton, container enthusiast.
Container enthusiast. I love it.
Like
Jessica, please. We already know you've been here before, so please introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are.
I've been here before. My name's Jessica. I feel like I should keep up with the enthusiasts. I'm an open source DevOps enthusiast.
Good work.
Jeremiah, who has no voice, so we're going to try and keep
voice.
You
I am allegedly the ringmaster of this particular shit show. I'm the manager of the developer advocates that cover ECS for the company, and this is a very special occasion to get the entire team together to have a discussion about something we've spent a lot of time putting together. So I'm happy to be here, even if the voice is pretty much done.
Nathan?
And my name is Nathan Peck. I'm a developer advocate on the team. I'm also a container theory enthusiast. I'm an AWS enthusiast. And excited to be here with everyone else from the team to talk about containers from the couch.
Cool. And my name is Mesa Casing. I'm also an enthusiast in general, except for sometimes depending on where in the world you are and what time of the year it is, but that's okay. Still enthusiastic today. So containers from the couch, we have talked about all things containers, and today we're going to be talking about something called containers on AWS. So Nathan, do you want to kind of introduce us to what this is, why we built it, what are we going to be doing with it, and how it can help us out?
Yeah, so containers on AWS is a mini site which has a lot of helpful tutorials and material for if you want to get started deploying your first container on AWS. And it really started about 2017 was when we first put content up on the internet under the Containers on AWS name. And it was just like some simple CloudFormation templates that have since gone on to be used quite a bit. You know, I look through different like open source examples out there. I see a lot of usage of those same CloudFormation templates for deploying a basic container through Elastic Container Service and AWS Fargate, especially for like a basic load balance application. And over those years, though, there's a lot more features in ECS now. And, you know, ECS basically started out as just a simple wrapper around Docker that does nothing but put a container onto a host. And now it does a lot more integration with other AWS services out there, not just load balancer, but also secrets. And, you know, there's a service mesh built in now, and all kind of features that ECS has. And, you know, understanding how to use all of them, it's always going to be a challenge. So we said, let's see if we can create more examples, more practical learning guides for all of the features in AWS, as well as all the different ways that you can actually deploy those features. You know, we have a set of different tools. We have AWS Copilot, we have CloudFormation, there's Terraform. There's a lot of different ways to set up your infrastructure, depending on what flavor of tool appeals to you the most. And so the goal of containers on AWS is to collect all of that material together in one place for you to find out and really play with it and decide what is the best way for you personally. And I think what would make the most sense would be to actually bring that up and show the website. If somebody could add my screen
There
share
we
to
go.
the stream.
Yeah.
So, funnily enough, of course, it's containers on aws.com, so it's very easy to find.
Yes,
Make
yes.
sure of that for sure.
Yeah, somebody wants to drop that link in the chat too.
Will
You'll notice the orange color. We love the color orange, both for containers from the couch and containers on AWS.
I feel like orange somehow, I don't know, was that an implied theme? That was like I think that's an ECS AWS color.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Might be.
I'm not really sure who came up with the coloration. I do know that like our official logo for Elastic Container Service was orange. Someone decided at some point that orange would be like the color for all of the compute services. So if you notice, the actual AWS services in the console have like different colors, but based on whether like a data service or a compute service or a networking service or something like that. So for some reason, orange is the color of compute. So sticking with that theme, but basically, yeah. So this is a landing page, and you'll find a lot of different types of material on here, from blog posts to visualizations and patterns. I'll start out by showing the blog because it's a good place to go if you just want to find out some more about those of us on the team. Who are these folks that are so excited about containers on AWS, and how can I interact with them and ask questions. There's some interest from everybody on the team, as well as some introduction to basic concepts of containers, like why use infrastructure as code or why use containers for your application. We also have, next on the list is code patterns. So if you've seen serverless land for Lambda, then you're probably familiar with the idea of having a bunch of patterns for your particular service and an IDEM filter. So we were really inspired by serverless land here. And the goal of this is to give you different ways to explore how to use containers on AWS depending on your particular scenario. So let's say I could choose like that I want to deploy a website, and I could choose that I also want to deploy it on AWS Fargate. And so here I've filtered down the list of potential ways to approach containers on AWS to these three patterns that all follow those two dimensions of AWS Fargate and website. And we also have a list of features here. So you can see like Elastic Container Service Connect, Cloud Map. This is like one of our newest ones. ECS Exec, which is how you SSH to a container. Elastic File System for durable storage. Capacity providers, if you're still running on EC2 capacity instead of AWS Fargate. There's examples there. Container Insights, and then FireLens. So all of the major features of ECS have a sample pattern for that particular feature. And I'll show you what one of these patterns looks like by showing you the latest and greatest one that we just launched, Service Discovery for AWS Fargate tasks with AWS Cloud Map. So the goal of the pattern is that it has a description as well as an architecture diagram, because having a little visual there always helps to better understand, what are these features actually. Our official docs don't generally tend to have very many diagrams in them. So the goal of this is to provide a place where there is a diagram. But more importantly, there's also a code sample. So here you can see CloudFormation templates to define a cluster, define two different services that are running in that cluster. And there's even a sample application here that shows how to implement service discovery and use a Cloud Map service discovery record to send traffic to different hosts inside of the cluster. And then instructions on how to deploy it all, test it out, and then tear it down. And the goal here too is sometimes you read a tutorial and it's not quite right for you. The features don't really work exactly the way you want them to, or they work and it's just like it's not a good fit. So there are alternatives as well. So here, Cloud Map Service Discovery is one way to do service discovery, but we also have ECS Service Connect. So you can click on this, and it'll take you to a tutorial for service-to-service communication with Service Connect as configured by AWS Copilot. So this is another alternative way to do the same thing. And the goal is that you'll be able to explore the full scope of features and related features inside Amazon ECS by using the 61 odd patterns that are here. And you can also contribute your own. So you'll see here there's an edit this page on GitHub link. And on GitHub, you can find the code for all these patterns here on GitHub. And you can submit your own pull requests or issue if there is something that you've always wanted to do with ECS, but you can't really figure out how to do it in Terraform, or can't figure out how to do it in CloudFormation or whatever tool you want to use. We're here to help. We're here to help you figure that out and get you an example on the website.
Yeah, and I think that part's actually really interesting, because even if you look at the group of developer advocates that's talking to you, Scott is a wonderful actual writer of code, right? Scott builds things. Nathan knows everything about AWS. Jessica comes from a world-class DevOps background. Maish and I both come from an enterprise space. So everybody uses ECS a little bit differently, right? They're going to require different tools. They're going to have different tool sets. They're going to need a different experience out of it. And the product is capable of delivering that. What we're really trying to share here are the individual pieces of code that make that a little bit easier. Whatever your background, whatever perspective you're coming into wanting to deploy containers onto ECS from, that there is an example or a way for you to get started directly through the patterns.
Absolutely. And I'm particularly excited about the fact that there's a list of development tools too, because, for example, I know everything, or well, pretty much everything, hopefully, about using AWS CloudFormation, but I'm not as experienced with Terraform. So, as we get more people contributing patterns to here, I'm hoping that we'll fill out the Terraform section to have as many patterns as we currently have for AWS CloudFormation. Right now, it's very, very focused on CloudFormation for most of the patterns. But I know that Terraform is also a very popular way to deploy infrastructure, and we need a little bit more examples there too, so that if you're watching this and you have a Terraform sample application, or just like a Terraform template that you don't mind sharing with the world, we'd love to help you get more exposure for that by listing it on the Containers on AWS website.
Well, I'll just jump in here as well. If it's Open Tofu, which is quite relevant at the moment, we will also accept that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for those who are not in completely, what is Open Tofu? Because I know what it is, but I'm not sure all our viewers do. So what's Open Tofu?
So Open Tofu is a fork of Terraform. Terraform come out and changed their licensing model, and the Linux, I believe it's the Linux Foundation, or one of the foundations has adopted the fork, and it's going to be fully open. So Open Tofu and Terraform are interchangeable somewhat,
okay.
At the moment anyway, and we will accept patterns on Open Tofu. Is the camp that you associate with. Another thing I think that just what Nathan said, I myself like to use Bloomy because I write a lot of stuff in Go. It's got a really good Go, it just feels natural to write Bloomy in Go. So inside Bloomy, we don't have much there, but if you have other languages, like .NET would be a great one we don't have a lot of coverage on. So if you're out there and you've built something in Bloomy, .NET or Java or Node.js or anything else, please let us know, because that's further reach than we would get with people on the team. So if you see something there, like for example, .NET is a good one, it might be because there's not just a .NET specialist in the DA team, but we're more than willing to take on those sort of patterns to grow the community.
Nice.
Absolutely. There are other resources beyond just the patterns as well. So visuals, I don't know, Jess, if you want to talk about the visuals a bit?
Yeah, so visuals, if you're like me, I'm a very visual learner. I like doing, so I mean, I learn by looking at things, but then also recreating and doing what I'm seeing. So I came up with the concept actually last year. It evolved out of a Reinvent session where I had a chalk talk. And normally chalk talks, you draw stuff on a whiteboard, and then after the session, you erase it, and no one gets to see it or benefit from it again, unless they've taken pictures and unless somebody can actually understand what you drew on the whiteboard, which I am not that talented. So instead, I decided to put together comic book styles of drawings that then I could talk about and discuss during this Chalk Talk. I broke them up kind of into like little focus areas. Like the Chalk Talk was focusing on container best practices. So we focused on things like networking and storage and running your application, security, scaling. And then the right now it looks very dense on there. It's designed to be something that you can zoom in. You can download the images. You can, if you prefer light mode or dark mode, you can download them in the color scheme of your choice. But you can be able to kind of visualize different scenarios. So for example, receiving inbound connections through an ALB or an NLB or through a API, Amazon API gateway. And then there's also other scenarios as far as like what a Kubernetes cluster looks like, what an ECS cluster looks like. There's a wealth of different types of drawings on there. Again, if anyone has suggestions, I don't know that we actually have opened up, or I think that is on issues. So if you go to the same repo where you can make changes or submit your own patterns, you can also submit suggestions for drawings and things that would be helpful for visualizations as well.
I absolutely love that networking diagram, because networking is something where there are so many different ways to do networking, and it's a common challenge that people on ECS do have, because ECS doesn't really set up your networking for you. It kind of assumes that you've brought some hardware that already has a networking set up, and so it's up to you to make some choices then about how you want to get internet or how you want to get traffic, and configure all that. So just having one resource that has the breadth of different ways you can set it up is super helpful for anybody who's getting into this and trying to decide how they want to approach networking.
And one of the things that I try to focus on in there, like the networking is a good example of that, is I did try to highlight pros and cons, things that you can do, things that you can't. I know a lot of times that would be feedback I get from customers as far as when should I use this, when should I not? And I can't answer that. I think there's a famous quote in, at least from a engineering team perspective, when we as professionals or company representatives are asked questions like that, nearly 99% of the time we will respond with "it depends," because it just
with a capital INT as well. IT depends.
Right. Yeah. So I think with that is what I can do is I can give you pros and cons and help you decide, or give you the information that you need, and then you can take that information and decide what option best fits your needs.
Do you want to, if people like this style of drawing, do you want to spend a couple minutes just talking about the tool you used?
Sure. The tool I used is called Excalidraw. I think I can, let me get that to Mesh so he can put that in the chat. So it's called Excalidraw. It's open source. You can run it a number of different ways. If you go to, I think it's excalidraw.com. Let me look at that. Excalidraw.com. Yeah, if you just go to excalidraw.com, and if you're new and you've never been there, you'll see somebody else's drawing of Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. So the concept of Excalidraw came out of personal knowledge management. So if you're familiar with PKM tools, things like Notion or Obsidian, and Excalidraw was a visual way to help understand or remember the things that you learn. Some people like to take notes. Some people like to have outlines. Like there's all different types of learning styles, and Excalidraw was a tool to kind of programmatically help people be able to visualize things, especially when you don't have any artistic talent. So I don't, but I can use shapes. So looking at the tool, like you can be able to do a pretty rounded square or a diamond or a circle with arrows. And then they have the concept of a library where you can have Excalidraw icons, and there's open source icons. You can download different types, including architectural icons from Amazon and just industry standard icons. And you can make your own drawings as well. I originally started it, like I said, for the Chalk Talk, but it was also my own way to kind of remember everything that I'm learning. For example, like when it comes to networking, if I'm talking to an audience of ECS best practices for networking, I want to make sure that I also have my knowledge stored and locked and something I can fall back on. And so that was also my own personal way to learn about Amazon, AWS, and ECS networking. And I thought it would be helpful to share with others as well, which is one of the reasons we came up with visuals. The other cool thing about Excalidraw is if you are somebody that you don't like trusting somebody else to have your data and store your drawings, you can also run it in a container. And I know Scott is the container enthusiast, but we all love containers. This is a container team. So I personally run my own instance of it in a container on my own server, and then I can do whatever I want with it. It also integrates, again, if you are familiar with personal knowledge-based tools like Obsidian and like Notion, Excalidraw does integrate with Excalidraw does integrate with Obsidian. I don't know if it integrates with Notion, but it does integrate very seamlessly there. So you can also have your own data and your own drawings stored locally on your system within Obsidian, or you can run it in a container as well if that's your preference. The container part's nice if you want to kind of do live whiteboarding, but in an instance that you own for your businesses, for your scenarios, it's your own private like drawing whiteboard. And I don't remember if they've added support for this in the open source containerized version, but I know on the public excalidraw.com, you can also have live collaboration. So I could like send a link to Maish or Nathan or Scott or anyone on the team, and we both could draw together, which could be both very fun and very dangerous.
That sounds like we need to make a pattern for deploying Excalidraw on AWS Fargate.
And how to deploy a new pattern or visual, in this case, to containers on AWS in an easy way as well. So we can do that as well.
So as of right now, the visuals are all things that I draw. We do have a process for deploying or suggesting drawings to the team that we can be able to put onto our backlog, I want to say. Patterns are something that we are accepting community contributions. When it does come to visuals and drawings and things that represent AWS, I do think there's a little bit of a legal concern from a community perspective, unfortunately. But patterns and everything are totally cool. That is done right through GitHub. And again, I think we can make sure that, Nathan, we can share that link for where they can go if they do have a pattern suggestion.
Yes.
And as far as a visual suggestion, I believe it's done as part of opening an issue. And I think when you go to open an issue, you're asked what kind of issue you want to create.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone who's joining us at Reinvent, you're probably going to see a few more of these. They were really popular last year, and Jess has done a great job kind of sharing that knowledge with the rest of the Chalk Talk presenters. So if you're going to be at Reinvent with us, you'll probably see more of these.
And if you're also familiar with serverlessland.com, they have a visuals as well. And David Boyney is the one who draws theirs. I actually, the first time I met Boyney, I recognized, I was like, wait, you use the same tool? I've never met anyone else who uses Excalidraw. So we had like a little Excalidraw two-person party. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But you will start seeing it more. I think it's really helpful in the industry to kind of explain and distill complex concepts into like easy bite-sized little happy nuggets. I mean, they're happy drawings and they make sense. So yeah.
There is one more type of content on the website as well that I want to highlight, which is presentations. We have 2 presentations so far. And this is going to be primarily useful for those of you who are perhaps solution architects or who need to present to an architect or a CTO or something about why am I using Amazon ECS, or just if you want to go through the presentation yourself and understand some of the high level ideas about ECS. These are based on content that we have delivered at past events, including Reinvent. So we have a Amazon ECS core concepts one, which you'll see it's in article form. So even if you don't like necessarily going through a PowerPoint deck, you can go through all the slides and all the content about how to get started with Amazon ECS here. If you do want to deliver this presentation to someone else, you can download it here. The PowerPoint deck is free for you to use and share with other people if you want to present that. And we also have an Amazon ECS scalability best practices as well. So this is once again very useful if you, not only if you're going to implement scaling yourself, but if you just like to learn a little bit visually, or you want to explain to other folks in your team how to do Amazon ECS scaling, this presentation could help you out.
And just to make sure people can actually use this presentation if they would like, It's in a PDF or a PowerPoint or
It's an actual PowerPoint. So down at the bottom of every article, there is a download presentation link, which will download the PowerPoint
perfect.
directly onto your deck, directly onto your computer. You can edit it, remix it, grab slides out of it if you want to, and hopefully learn from it and help other people learn as well.
Nice, very nice.
Of course, the product teams update those icons like every 12 minutes, so we're going to have to work hard to keep that up to date.
Correct.
Yeah, that's our goal. Is these presentations, we're going to be keeping them up to date with whenever there's a new feature inside Amazon ECS, or a change to all like on the scaling deck. I had to refresh some things like Amazon ECS went from only supporting initially like 3,000 instances per cluster to like 5,000. Different numbers and stuff change from year to year. So ideas, we'll keep these up to date with the latest and greatest information about Amazon ECS. If you are the presenter type who wants to present something about Amazon ECS to other people.
Very nice.
But that's Containers on AWS. Hopefully it'll be a great resource for you and anybody else that you think would like to get into Containers on AWS and wants to learn what types of concepts. Feel free to send it along to them, and hopefully they'll benefit as well.
So we're kind of in Reinvent season almost. It's a little bit more than 6 weeks away from Reinvent, 6-7 weeks away from Reinvent, pretty much. A good part of this team, I think, almost all of us, Scott, you're not going to be at Reinvent, will you? So
No, I won't
everybody
be.
else besides, unfortunately, Scott will not be able to join us this time, but we will all be at Reinvent. And firstly, I want to ask a couple of things from everybody here in the audience. Number one, please don't be shy. Come and say hello. We're all pretty, I would say, nice people. We don't bite. So you're more than welcome to come. If you see us walking along in the hallways, please say hello. We'd be very, very, very happy to talk, chat, learn about more how you're using your container services, and any way we can really help you. We will, all of us, be delivering sessions as well, and we will be coming out, I think, within the next week or 2 or 3 with a blog post of all the container sessions that you will be able to attend, find the information, when they're going to be. If you haven't already registered for your Reinvent, I do suggest that you do that, because tickets eventually do run out, and if you don't if you don't register in time, of course, you're not going to be able to book your sessions in advance. So you might get a little bit left out of all the good content which we're going to be delivering. So if you haven't registered yet, please do so. There was one question which came out from the chat from Cloud Server 22, and I'd like to answer if anybody would like to take the question. Are there any forums where experts answer questions on containers on AWS?
That one's all you, Nathan.
That is all you, Nathan.
Okay, so I am active on a number of different social medias. The one place where I've been answering the most questions recently is Reddit r/AWS. There tends to be a lot of ECS and container related questions on there. The other place that is not just me, but a lot of other people, is repost.aws. If you're not familiar with it, it's somewhat similar to Stack Overflow, but it's all AWS related posts. And there is also a lot of people from the service teams, a lot of solution architects for AWS there answering questions on repost.aws. So that's another fantastic place to ask your container related questions. And I might answer it there. It might be someone else from this team or somebody else from the service team as well. And we'll make sure that your answers do get answered.
Thank you very much, Cloud Surfer 22, for the question. If anybody else has any more questions, of course, please feel free to drop them on the chat, say hello. I'll stop for 1 second because we're kind of in the halfway mark. We are here today with the whole DA team, developer advocacy team from ECS. I have Jeremiah, Jessica, Scott, Nathan, and myself. Thank you for joining us if you're catching us on the recording. What excites you all for going to Reinvent this year?
Does the food count?
No.
Reinvent for us, at least, is one of the few chances that we get to mix many to one and one-to-one conversations. We get to go on stage, we get to talk big things, but then afterwards we get to go and sit down and talk to individuals, and I think that's the part that I'm looking forward to most.
Definitely the networking and talking to people. I would agree with that. I feel like that's always I don't want to say that's the best part of every conference and not make that exclusive to Reinvent, but that is my favorite part of every conference is the hallway track. And at Reinvent, I feel like just because there's so many people there, you get to meet so many different customers, so many types of people. You get to hear so many different interesting projects that they're working on. And it really is helpful from a both the community perspective, but then also bringing that information and that feedback back to our service teams.
Yeah, when you say like meeting the customers, that's the thing that always excites me the most about Reinvent is throughout the year as I work on Elastic Container Service and Fargate, it's a little bit abstract. Like I see the numbers on the back end, I see a bunch of people using the service, and I see the volume of requests and number of tasks launched, which is astronomical. But then when I actually go to Reinvent and I meet some of the people who are launching those tasks, and I find out what they're doing with it, and sometimes some cases it's people who are doing these amazing world-changing things, which like that is a really smart thing I never would have thought of myself. Like I'm so glad that I'm able to be a part of providing the tool that makes that possible for you to do something and spring forward even more in terms of building something that's going to help a lot of people around the world to succeed better at some task, or in some cases actually save lives. So it's amazing to me to always meet the folks who are building on top of AWS and find out what they're building.
For me, I can tell you what my least favorite part of Reinvent is, and that is traveling there because it is a hell of a long flight from where I am here in Israel. I make the trip once a year. It's okay. It's cool. But my actually favorite part, of course, is what everybody said. Is the hallway track. Is speaking to actual customers, hearing how we can help them, getting new ideas from there, finding out where we can fill in gaps which we currently don't have. Besides what is written on the roadmap and whatever else it is, what kind of use cases which we might not be able to see directly from every single customer that we currently interact with. And besides the fact that you might find us walking around also on the carpeted hallways in Vegas somewhere, there's also going to be what we call a modern application zone or a modern applications booth, which will be on the actual show floor itself, where you will probably be able to find at least one of us most of the time on the floor. So pop by over there as well. It's not only going to be containers, it's all about modern applications such as Lambda, everything else that we can think of. A good place to see. If I remember correctly, the last 2 years they had, what's the thing called? Dance? What's that game called? Where you could play a little game, get kind of cute swag, whatever it is, have something to drink, have something to eat. So it'll be also very nice if you can pop past.
The Dance Revolution. Well.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can.
No.
Move your feet here and there, but that's okay.
No.
Unfortunately, I don't want to get people's hopes up. I think that the Dance Revolution machine may not be there this year, but
I have no idea.
We will still be there, and I hear there will still be the claw machine that has the prizes. So.
Okay, cool.
But those of you who are there for past years, Dance Revolution battles.
Between Squirrel and Squirrel from CDK, and what was the other one? From Sam? I don't remember. That's actually recorded somewhere on the Internet for Prosperity. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's a few videos. There was I think there was like a Lambda versus Fargate Dance Revolution competition.
Yeah,
folks from the Lambda team, folks from the Fargate.
There's a lot of things that I'll do for this job.
But you want
Getting in a squirrel suit and doing Dance Revolution is not on the list.
It is fun.
No.
Well,
not at all.
either way, there's still going to be a lot of activities there at the booth. It's usually a chance to come by and meet some of the folks who work on the team. They're excited to meet customers who are building on serverless containers as well. So definitely, if you're currently deploying something on AWS Fargate or Amazon ECS, come by and visit, say hi. They'll be happy to meet you. You might be able to ask them some questions and find out, cool stuff about how to use it better or solutions to your problems. And it'll be a two-way street there.
I think we're going to end early today because I have to go. It's late here at night, and I'm in kind of a bit of a bind over here in Israel, but that's okay. Never mind, we'll forget about that. But still, I think we're going to be, so before we do that, I always see this, if there's a comment in the end, and I will actually highlight that comment because it was actually quite fun. And that is that somebody was probably losing 3 kilograms of weight by running between different Reinvent venues. Yes, they are far away from each other, so bring very, very good shoes and comfortable shoes. And expect that you're going to be walking the whole day. So yes, definitely. That's one of the things you do at Reinvent. Don't worry, it'll happen for sure. We're going to call it a night or a day or a morning, depends on where you are in the world. That's what the whole thing. Scott always lives in the future from the rest of us, so that's okay. Thank you very much for joining us today. Any closing remarks from anybody else?
I just wanted to say, I love getting to work with this team. And every time we hear from customers about customers who've reached out and interacted with any of the DAs, whether it's Nathan answering stuff on Reddit, whether it's Jessica helping people with Excalidraw, whether it's Scott doing amazing work internally on user experience and developer experience. This is a great team for everyone out there who uses ECS, who thinks they might want to use ECS. There's somebody on this team who can answer whatever question it is that you have. So all of our contact information, whether you get it from the blog, off of the Containers on AWS site, or off of the screen right here, please feel free to leverage this team and the just incredible amount of knowledge that they have about containers in general, but ECS specifically. Anytime you need to, we will make this easier for you.
Cool. Anybody else want to add some comments before we close down?
Make fun of my voice. This has been terrible.
I hope your voice gets better by the time you get to Reinvent, Jeremiah.
Yeah. You should give your voice a rest for thanks for joining us.
Tuesday, because Jessica and I are supposed to be in Seattle on Tuesday to record marketing videos. And if this is the way my voice sounds next Tuesday, Jess is in for a rough day.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be back, Containers on the Couch, next week, same time. The EKS team will be here with a different session. I don't remember exactly what the content will be, but we'll see you again from our team in 2 weeks' time to talk a little bit about ECS console and more changes which have been coming and will be coming. So join us again, same time next week. Thank you, everybody, already for joining us, and have a great day.
Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.